Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
Welcome to the newest episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your glamorous host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during complete chaos, and also during a never-ending pandemic. But we have an amazing episode again in store for you all today. It is really, really solid. We're going to talk more about sales. I mean, selling during a pandemic, this thing is lagging forever. It's pretty important right now, being able to adopt your sales and to really maneuver your way through where we are as a society as of right now. But not even right now. I mean, it's changing things going forward in the future. A lot of these things are going to be around, or more likely it's going to be more of a blend of hybrid about how they were previously. So we're going to talk about all those kind of important things as far as customer service, managing sales cycles, and having a great conversation with really just a rockin' woman who was able to find her way, basically doing what she loves. And when you get into some high-end sales, I mean, the sales itself can be very gratifying to the person who's selling it. Why? Well, yeah, it comes down to you pretty much helping your customer, your prospect, realize their dream. I guess you could say if you were a sales rep, you do high-end luxury sales, whether it's houses, cars, whatever. It's pretty satisfying to get that commission check. But I really think that helping somebody fulfill their dream, whether it's how them buying a home, a car, vacation, whatever it may be, is something that is really going to make you pretty darn good inside. You know, you're going to get all those warm and fuzzy type of feelings, and it's pretty awesome. So we're going to talk about all that great stuff today. And you're probably wondering, who is today's guest? Maggie Ives. Maggie Ives is a result-driven, licensed real estate associate with 30 plus years experience in Port Royal and Old Naples, an area with the most billionaires in the U.S. Customer relations, consumer sales, corporate sales, and the ability to deliver outstanding client services. Her expertise lies in selling clients high-end luxury real estate. She possesses a natural repertoire of dynamic qualities that set her apart and enable her to successfully procure the goals of the discriminating buyer or seller she represents. Maggie is a licensed community association manager and a member of the Naples Area Board of Realtors. All the billionaire fans out there, I know you're watching, Elon Musk. You've got to make sure you give Maggie a call. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up, and we're going to bring Maggie on in here.
Make the sale.
Maggie, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You are now Shark Bait.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. What do you think of that tagline? I just started using that. It came out of the blue after I recorded 50 episodes. I came up with you are now Shark Bait, and people started laughing whenever I said it. I was like, okay, I'm going with it.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's great.
That's good. That's good. So on this show, we have a tradition. The very first question, it's a softball question. What's your experience? What's your background? What's your expertise? In other words, what makes Maggie Maggie?
Wow. What a wonderful question. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Maggie Ives. I work with Premier Sotheby's International Realty in Naples, Florida. I handle residential real estate. I was born and raised here, actually in Fort Myers, which is about 30 miles from Naples. My family had a bookstore, an independent bookstore, started in 1961. Wow. I grew up in that.
Are they still open? by chance?
They are not. Barnes and Noble came in 1999 to our town, and we closed about 3 months later.
That's so rough. I mean, those big stores, whether it's Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, Walmart, I mean, I think they're a bonus because you can get a lot of stuff from those places that you probably couldn't get in, a smaller shop like the bookshop. But it does have that adverse effect then that everybody goes there for all that stuff. And it's such a double-edged sword.
It is. We were the second largest independent bookstore in the state of Florida when we closed. So we were quite large, but we still could not stay open. My father had passed at that time, saw the writing on the walls and started sending books back that fall. But I was in complete denial. I was just like, what? No. So anyway,
it sounds like she was ahead of the curve and the bookstore went out on her own terms. It wasn't like it was a forcible things, I guess there's a positive way to look at it.
Well, one day we had customers and one day we didn't. So it was
okay.
And the
maybe
interesting,
it was forced a little more.
it was. But now, if Barnes and Noble stores are closing kind of all over, and it's going back to the smaller independent bookstores where everybody, and so there's a trend back. But we're not going to open up a store.
That's interesting though, because I kind of see that circle kind of happening now, where a lot of these stores that put out the mom and pop stores out of business are actually at risk because the new generation of buying e-commerce stuff like that is putting them at risk, and it's kind of like, how do you like it now?
Exactly right.
Yeah. So sorry about that. That was interesting. I wanted to touch on that because you were brought up in the entrepreneurial spirit, and that's obviously had to have a big impact on your life.
Absolutely huge. I say I'm the daughter of a merchant. I grew up, at the age, as soon as I could stand and was a toddler, I would look at the paperback bins and I would match the pictures underneath or the pictures up there, and I would fill the bins in as I walked along. I mean, we all grew up, in the oldest of four. We all grew up working very, very hard in the bookstore. Just that was our entire living. So, you had to.
That's great though. That's good stuff. That's great. So yeah, let's hear the rest of your intro story here. Let's find out more.
So I've just always been in sales. As I said, I worked in the bookstore. I found that at age 8, nobody was taking me very seriously. So I became a children's book expert, and I stayed in the children's section. And so I connected people to books for their kids, and just kind of from there, I think my main talent is connecting. So now I connect people to homes, be it their second, third, fourth, or fifth home. But I'm very good listener, and just grew up helping people connect to what they needed. And so real estate is a perfect fit for me.
Yeah, no, that's interesting though. So I want to ask, as I told you earlier, we've had a couple real estate people on the show, and they mostly do for first time home buyers or commercial property, stuff like that. Why is it that you went into the market for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth homes for some of these people instead of going more towards the first time home buyer?
It's a great question. I was hired by a builder here in Naples to open up their estate management division. There were 2 younger gentlemen who bought the company, and they realized that they were building multi-million-dollar homes but had nobody to run the homes. So I knew one of the owners for a very long time, and he hired me, and I came into this market, opened the division, and ran it with a team. And then my background is sales, and we got pretty big. And it was just kind of too big. And so they wanted to downscale. And so I had my license for a long time, and I just moved right over into residential real estate in Naples. So this is just my
kind of what you felt comfortable with, right?
It's a good niche for me. I'm very concierge oriented, service oriented. I understand working with teams. So often, if you have a millionaire or a billionaire, you're working with the team. So you're working with the assistant and the lawyers and the accountants, and you get to usually when you meet the principal, it's really at the very end, if at all. So
Right.
you have to be able to navigate a group and get everybody there. And I'm
So you're
good.
trying to tell us that you sell to very rich, famous people.
Not all the time. Not all the time. Not all the time. But I treat all my clients like they're very rich, famous people. So
Kind of like I treat my guests on Shark Bite Biz.
exactly right. Exactly right. Very
So,
welcoming.
yeah. So with sales, okay, you have the sales background. You said that you love sales. Have you sold anything else besides books and housing? Was there just a growth experience there? I mean, tell us that background.
So I went from books when we closed in '99 to Mr. Scanlon had just bought the Lexus dealership in Fort Myers, and he asked me to come and work for him. So I worked at Lexus. There were just 10 of us for a long time, about 7 years. And then I was hired away by two doctors who owned thousands of acres of palm tree farms. So I sold their palm trees, and that's when I got my license, and I helped them buy land and worked in that, did both. And then
So that's the origin story right there. Yeah, that's great. How did you like selling? How did you like selling cars? I mean, I had a little dip in there when the economy was really, really bad. I think about 2009, 2010-ish. And I could do it. It was really easy, but ultimately I just didn't like the car industry.
So I was very lucky. I worked for Lexus, which was back in '97 through 2006, certainly. It was very small, very concierge, high end. It's the same version of what I'm doing now, where like somebody at Lincoln or Toyota was moving 30 vehicles, I moved 10 to 12. So it's just much smaller. So I really loved it. And it was a great training ground for listening, dealing with millions of different scenarios, understanding budgets, and being able to react quickly. It was
I'll give you credit because even with me, I mean, even though I had a lot of that sales training up until that point, well, sales experience, I do think that gave me some good training into starting to close higher priced items that weren't, just $1,000, $2,000. I mean, you're starting to get $20,000 to $100,000. So it kind of gave me that exposure of how to close that, work with the budgets. I totally agree with you. And, even things, I think people forget that even things like that, where I was only at that place for maybe like 2 buds, and I had enough of it, but it did have an impact that really helped morph me into who I am today.
Yeah, seriously. How long were you with car? How long did you sell cars?
It was about 2 months. 2 months. I mean, it gave me the
Who did
thing
you
is
sell
though.
For? Who did you sell for?
It was a Chevy dealer in rural Pennsylvania. Economy was so bad at the time. I actually left Mexico to go back home to Pennsylvania for a few months. And when I was out there, I just needed a job real quick, and I got that I did good. In the 2 months that I worked for them, I sold 48 cars, which in this place in Pennsylvania was really good. It was way, I don't want to sound like totally bragging, but it was just too easy. Like, it wasn't a challenge, but it did teach me some of the things about working with the budgets, meeting the payments amount, stuff like that, the math work, I guess you could say, about it. But the actual process of the sale, it wasn't challenging. Like, I felt that, I was just wasting my days because I could do so much more than just do car sales.
No, I understand. Yeah, it was great. It was great. So
yeah. So let's jump into the real estate market right now. I don't know if you've seen this on the news, but there's this pandemic, I think they call it. Have you seen about that?
I have.
The industry you do a lot of times second, third, fourth, fifth homes. And with that, I mean, Is it hard because people aren't going on vacation like they used to? Travel's more limited. I mean, even in the beginning of the pandemic, you had states saying that, oh, we don't care if you actually own a second home here. If it's not your primary resident, you can't visit the state. I mean, did that impact your business at all?
So COVID definitely impact our business, but to the good. People started flocking down here. They wanted to get out of New York, Chicago, Boston, St. Louis, California. And so our market has completely exploded. It's a seller's market. Everybody wants to move here. They want sunshine. They want warmth. They want space. And a lot of people are working remotely now.
Right. Space is an important topic because we were just talking about this the other week. And if we were in Los Angeles yet, and we had a nice home in Los Angeles, but if we were out there with how minimal space we had for our whole family in that house, I don't know how we would have made it through this pandemic. We would have been bonkers. It would have been horrible. Luckily, for the same amount of rent that I was paying out in LA, now in the Philly suburbs, I mean, we have a house that, it's like 10 times as big, which has really allowed us all to have our own little spaces, do our own things. Kids can play in the yard outside. And I think the space thing's a very important factor that people are looking for right now.
100%. 100%. So, and then, the tax benefits are wonderful here in Florida. So we've just seen a very big insurge. We've seen prices rise on our homes. Something that was 300,000 is now 400,000.
Wow.
So I've been very busy connecting people to a home, a second space, a third space, really working hard on that. And we're seeing financing. It was always cash 30-day close, cash 20-day close. Everybody's financing now because they can get 2.3. So now we're seeing 60-day closes, 45-day closes. We're dealing with appraisals. So
you're talking, if you work with a millionaire, somebody that obviously has the cash more than likely to buy a house, they have 30 million in the bank. They can spend the 1.2 million on their house there on the beach. So let's say they're actually financing it because of the interest rates and holding on to their cash?
Correct. All of them. All of them.
Cash flow is pretty important right now.
Pardon me?
I was saying cash flow is pretty important right now because, we still don't know where this is going with the pandemic. Now we got these other variants and it's like, could the economy get worse? So I can see the value. With me and my credit cards, even though I have the cash, I've been running up the credit card bills and then just paying it off so that if we need the cash because whatever reason, it's like, okay, I got a little nest egg.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've never seen anything like it. It's really crazy right now with the financing, but that's just the way it is down here. So no, that's some good stuff. So when you're working with your clients and stuff, selling them, how you do the sale, how you sold this time last year compared to how you sell now is probably a little bit different. How has it changed or evolved for you? So it's all on this client. It's all about assisting them. They are the hero. I am the guide. They lead the ship and I assist them along the way to get them where they want to go. A lot of them already have properties identified for different, looking in the paper, looking on the internet. So they'll send me properties that they're interested in, and then I curate and I find properties that are not on the market yet, other properties that they may have missed, other things that
your secret listings.
Well, I spend a lot of time talking to other agents. I find that they're my very best resource. I talk to all of them, and so then you curate for them, and they fly in. And you show them the different properties and you assist them, but you stand back, you listen to them. clients are CEOs. I mean, they're CFOs. They're very smart. So it's my job to get them in front of the right lawyer if they need the right lawyer, the right title company if they need a title company, the right estate management company to come in once they close, to work with their team. My role is very much assisting, guiding, helping in any way I can to get them where they need to go.
So this is you just brought up an important point, and a lot of people don't realize when you get into, I guess you could say, higher ed sales, whether it's real estate or like I do with technology. When you look at the definition of a sales rep, what you're doing, I mean, a lot of what you're doing is directing traffic. And I think people kind of don't always realize that for you to be successful, you have to know what pieces to pull in. You have to coach them as far as say this, not that. And you're basically managing the sales cycle by pulling in the experts when you need it, while your job is just to build the relationship with the client and pull in the pieces.
Well, very well said. Yeah, that's how I work my business model. So I have an incredible contractor, an incredible estate management team, an incredible gentleman that I work with in the field, two great assistants, great lawyer and assistant, a whole team that works with me, yes, to get them where they need to go. That's my job, is to surround them with the best. I don't want to be, I surround myself with people that are much smarter than I am in their field.
You're the traffic director. You're directing traffic, and you're the gateway of who that client sees on your side, and you're figuring out the pieces of the puzzle.
Yes, the buck stops with me.
That's exactly how I sell.
That's it. Stops with me. If it doesn't go right in some direction, it's my fault. Everything is my fault. It is. I take full responsibility for everything happening.
Yeah, you've got to take ownership of it. And I think a lot of salespeople, like, that's exactly how I sold. So when I go into a deal cycle, I am, like the chorus director. I'm directing everything. And it really, I call it kind of like relationship selling in my mind, because my job is to literally just build the relationship. And I find that if you're giving your clients the value that they're looking for, and you're managing this sales cycle pretty easy, I mean, sometimes the only way that you might have a hiccup is with, the financial situation. If it's way more expensive than what, they were willing to pay and you can't bridge the gap. But if you do it right, I mean, it makes sales, I think, pretty easy, because you're giving them everything they need. You're fixing their problems. You're solving their solutions. You're showing them value. And as long as you're building a relationship, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's not rocket science. I've always found it to be very easy and very natural
to sell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So would you say that's your unique angle against your competition? What do you think kind of gives you the edge out there?
I think what sets me apart is that I'm very team focused, and I bring anybody to the table that will serve my clients. My ego is in the back. I never, ever think somebody's stepping on my toes. I pull them in. I get them where they need to be. I'm very disciplined emotionally. I don't get angry. I stay very tight. I listen more than I speak. And the client is really my hero. They are my focus, and they always are looking for homes for their families to bring down here, their grandchildren, and families are everything. And so I'm so focused, on that. But I think it's not having a big ego, just being able to step back and bringing in people a lot smarter than I am in their fields to assist the client to get where they need to go.
Ego's a big thing.
It is.
I
It
think too
is.
many people get a little arrogant and they let their ego take a control of them and they end up losing sales cycles because of that. You know, the only person that ever sees my ego, my boss, because I'm bragging to him about how much I'm kicking butt. That's it. I would never show, I'm going to have confidence with a customer, but I'm not going to, show my ego or anything unless it's an honest, full blown joke or something like that, that they could tell. But I mean, what's your take on that?
I just they just they are the show. I am not the show. They are the
Hmm.
show. They're what's important. Um, and I just think staying grounded and a lot of meditation and very focused and disciplined on and staying concentrated on them and what I can bring to them and serve them to get they and their families where they need to go is really
Hmm.
something that I do best. And it didn't come easy. I'm a
Right.
talker. I talk very fast. I get very excitable. I have an excitable quality to me.
Right.
And sometimes I get more
Well,
excitable
you look
clients.
super excited. You look thrilled right now.
Sometimes I get like, I get very excited and they need to get excited. And so I've really had to work on my personality to calm that down and, let them get excited and really work on standing back.
You
And
just brought up an important point there. I think a lot of people, when they're in business, it doesn't really apply just to sales, but I guess it does because you can get happy years with sales and you end up doing, I think, knee jerk reactions because of emotion. Okay. For whatever reason it is. And then you're like, oh my God, I just lost the sale. I am such a dummy, and that could have been prevented because you just got too excited, whichever way, and you ended up blowing it because of a knee jerk reaction.
yes,
Have you
yes,
experienced that?
yes. And trigger, or they'll trigger you, or somebody's acting like your mother acted when you were 7, and you're like, nah! Which that is, I've done so much work um, on disciplining that, understanding myself, controlling that, maturing to that, very self-aware. Um, so it's been a journey, but it's good. It lets them lead. It's not about me. It's about them.
Right, right. So while we're talking the same topic, then I think a good question I'd love to hear your answer on is what was something you learned along the way that you wish somebody would have told you earlier?
Oh, so so many things.
Give me your
Um,
top three. Give me your top three.
I mean, it's litigious. You cannot believe how legal being in real estate and transactions. It is so legal. You can get sued in
Hmm.
every direction by another realtor, by, they can report you to neighbor, by a client, by a lawyer. I mean, you need to understand the law, or at least enough to get you there. So I did not realize how legal this was. And,
Yeah.
and, oh, it is so serious. I didn't understand.
Does that mean that you wish you probably would have taken like a few business law courses
I
or
do.
contractual law?
I
Oh,
do. I'm
great.
working to catch up, and I'm learning, and I have a very close relationship with the real estate lawyer, and I go to neighbor as many classes as I can, but I just didn't. I mean, it's yes, it's very
I mean,
litigious.
when you're able, so like with me and our contracts with here, luckily I did take some business law. I thought that was really important to take some of those courses so that way I can negotiate contracts, stuff like that. And with what we do, I mean, we could be talking about a multi-million dollar tech project, for example, and, there's a lot of terms and conditions on that. You're talking 30, 40-page contracts, and their lawyer could be redlining stuff like, hey, why did you redline that? It doesn't make sense. And then I have to have the conversation to where it's like, hey, you actually don't want it like this, and this is why, because it contradicts it right here and here, and that's going to create a problem. But what I found is the fact that I'm able to have those negotiations makes our contractual process so much easier, so much faster. Because then when I give it to our lawyer, I mean, he already has all our accepted changes. He has to do very minimal tweaks, and it's like bing, bang, boom. I got the updated, finalized contract for them. It's helped us advance deals a lot faster. Do you do anything like that?
I do. And I have a great lawyer, and he goes over inspection reports, and I do. And I would also like to say that I wish somebody had told me sooner. And while I've done it in the last couple of years, I wish I'd done it sooner. Other realtors, no matter who they work for, are an incredible asset to your business. And I think as important as your clients, treating them with respect, talking to them in the field. I wish I had understood sooner that they can help so much. And I try to give back to them as much as I can when they call me, or if they do a great job in development. I write emails about them to their developer. I try to give back as much as I can, but other realtors are huge.
That's
assets.
important. Giving people praise. I mean, especially when you're working in a team and stuff. I point out where my team has, they have moments that it's like, hey, you can do this better, tweak this, tweak that. And I don't do it like, hey, I'm riding their butts or something like that. They know that it's coming from, I'm trying to make them better. I work with some very, very technical people, and, their mind's in project management, black or white. And I give them things that like, hey, you could do this better. But when they also kick butt and are rock stars, I'm making sure that I'm praising them and blowing them up in front of everybody. I don't know, it just kind of creates more of that personal relationship to where they really enjoy working with me. And I think they work harder for me because of that.
I agree. 100%. I mean, we're all humans out here, and everybody's doing the best that they can. Everybody's trying as hard as they can.
Oh, yeah. So we only got a couple minutes left. I want to bang through a couple quick questions with you. First one is, again, going back to the pandemic, everybody's business plan, marketing plan, all that stuff got thrown out the window in March of 2020. Now we've gone into 2021 knowing the situation. So I think it's a little bit better for businesses this year, because it's not like one day to the next this happened. I mean, we're kind of more prepared for it. I think everybody has planned for the worst, but they're hoping for the best. So in terms of marketing, how have you successfully cut through all the noise of everything that's going on right now to be able to, promote your unique service that you offer and really just stand out in front of the competition in a crowded marketplace too?
I hired a gentleman, Chris Reed. He has Arbor SEO. And
Chris has been on the show.
Oh, he has? Oh, I'll have to listen to him. He's wonderful. So, I hired his company. I heard him on Jerry Metcalf, that is one of my goals, is that to get big enough so I can be interviewed by her. That's a big 2024 goal. So I realized towards the end of last year that I needed to pivot, that we were going global, real estate wise, especially in the area that I am in. And he and his team are designing a website for me that will have the builds in the back end, does exactly what, he says. So it will, people, if they Google Naples or Naples waterfront, or they will be drawn to my website. So he builds a whole, I know he says
the SEO in the background.
Yes,
I would say for anybody out there listening right now, if you want to get more details about the SEO stuff like that, make sure you check Chris Reed's interview out. It's Chris with a K, K-R-I-S, and then it's R-E-I-D. I think he's around episode 30 or so, but he is in season 1. Check it out, and you can get a lot more detail about what Maggie's speaking about right here.
And if you're a realtor listening, or anybody listening, if you want to reach out to me, I've had a couple people reach out to me, call me. Definitely. I will tell you what it's been like onboarding with them, working with the team. My website should go live next month. We've just really taken our time with building it. But that's really what I did to pivot. It was a big financial commitment, and everything is going.
Do you think that you've got your ROI from that yet? Or are you on track for the ROI on the investment part?
Not yet. It
Okay,
hasn't
because it
started.
hasn't fully rolled out, or did it
Correct.
roll out?
It has
Okay,
not
okay,
rolled out.
okay.
So I will roll out sometime in February. So if you want to have me back towards the end
Oh,
of the
yeah.
year, I will tell you how it's going specifically with
Yeah, that would be
this.
awesome. That would be a really awesome case study to have you on here and talk about how it has changed your business. And hey, I do appreciate the honesty and transparency, because when I asked you if you got your, I forgot that you just said that it was rolling out, and she's telling you how it is. So I think she will definitely give us a true story and no fluff about that. But we like hearing how the digital transformation for people like you has actually helped their business. So this will be great to have you back on. I guess let's wrap up with two questions here. The first one is, you're out there, you're solving problems for your clients in the real estate market. Okay. Let's paint a picture for the client. I mean, what does their life look like after you've solved their problems?
They're in a beautiful home or condo in Naples, Florida, with a refrigerator full of amazing food
And beer.
and beer. And they're staring at the ocean, or they can walk to the ocean, and their family is laughing and smiling, and they're relaxing in this warm, beautiful weather. Fifth Avenue is very much like Maybury. It's elegant, it's quiet, it's, just lovely to be here. Very little to no crime. So it's just a quiet place to bring your family and friends, and great restaurants.
Oh, I'm such a foodie.
So and every street goes right to the Gulf. Every condo mostly looks at the Gulf or the Bay. So it's just lovely here. If you're Zooming, if you're sitting at home in your office, Zooming, looking at a wall, call me. I'll get you an ocean view.
I'm looking at the pictures behind you, and I'm like, oh man, life goals right there. Life goals. So you just said that they can call you. That's my second question. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. How can people reach out to you?
Well, you're welcome to call me, 239-910-2581. You can email me, my name, Maggie.Ives@Premier, Premier, sir, SIR.com. You can certainly Google me.
Ives is spelled
Ives. Yes, my family's Irish. We came over in the potato famine to Canada. So my mother's Canadian and my father's Irish. So anyway.
Here's a potato story for you. I always thought that potatoes were from Ireland, obviously. Did you know that they actually originated in Peru? There's like 4,000. Yeah, there are 4,000 different types of potatoes all down there in Peru. I lived in Peru for a year. And then basically, I guess maybe with the conquistadores, stuff like that, that's when they ended up bringing potatoes back to the New World. And I guess Ireland was like the perfect conditions to do it, to grow potatoes. And that's really when it all blew up.
Oh my gosh. Great story. Thank you. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. That's the benefits of living in Mexico for 15 years and Peru for a year. So learned a lot of cool history.
Place my whole life right here. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I might have tried. If I had a house like behind you, I probably would want to live there my whole life. But hey, Maggie, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'd love to get you back on in the end of this year and talk about how everything went with the digital transformation.
Okay.
Thank you again. Wow, that was an awesome chat with Maggie, right? First off, you all know the routine. If you found this interview helpful, if it sparked some creativity inside of you or something else, please do me a favor, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And if you really want to do me a solid, okay, you got to share this out. Share this video out, or if you're listening on the audio versions, share the audio version out. In every description, you can see almost everywhere this podcast is listed. We're talking iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, iTunes. I might have said that already, but you get it. It is Vurbl. That's a new one. VURBL. I just found it. They actually listed this show there, and it's got a pretty cool platform. I'd suggest check it out there and subscribe. But like I was saying, do me a solid. We're trying to build that community, like-minded business people, okay? So please share this out there. Share the audio version of this podcast as well, too. Let's build this community. Let's get all of you people on the show eventually. And most importantly, let's get Maggie trending. Maybe Shark Bite Biz, too. Let's try to get them both trending, okay? Thanks. Now let's get back to our rock star of a guest, Maggie. She is so awesome and has really an incredible story to back her up. I love her career growth from luxury cars to luxury homes. I mean, to me, it's a natural progression, I think, because you're working your way up to bigger ticket item, from very expensive cars to that you're probably selling to almost the same type of clientele that you would with very expensive properties. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. A few points of interest, though, that I really had from the convo with Maggie, I wanted to point out. Luxury sales, or if you're selling at a farmer's market, doesn't matter. Okay, I lie. If you're selling at a farmer's market, yeah, it does matter. But if you're doing simpler sales, like maybe cell phone sales, something like that, there's going to be a lot of that same philosophy of what we were talking about in this interview. And I think one of the biggest points that Maggie brings up that really hits home to me is that she is very team focused. Think about this. You're managing a sales cycle. I'd say a good portion of the sales, you don't have to be real super technical. I don't think people expect you to know every single detail of everything yourself. After all, people realize, yeah, you're the sales dude or the sales girl or whatever it may be. Okay. Your job is really to manage the sales cycle and conduct the choir. Okay. You need to put your ego aside and really do what's best to service your client. I've seen countless deals lost just because sales reps, well, I don't want to bring this person in, or I don't want to do this with them. Like, why? Dude, you're the sales rep. You're still getting the sales credit. You get all the glory, but you really, need to work as a team, bring that all together. I really think that one of the biggest weaknesses that sales reps have is when they want to control everything and anything the client wants. And I think that is something I cannot say much. Yeah, okay, yeah. They may want to be the one that answers every question. I get that. And it is true. As a sales rep, you do need to control the sales cycle. But, and this is a big but, you need to, and this goes back to Maggie's excellent point, you need to trust your team and have a strong team around you. I view that your job as a sales rep is to tell your team to say this, not that to the prospect. Coach your team on their personalities, how they do things, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And basically get them up to the level of where they know the background info that they need to know, and then put them in front of the client. Working as a team also builds confidence with the buyer because they're going to feel like, hey, the lone gun out there, he's out there slinging wares or whatever wants, he's just out there on his own. Okay. You're going to lose that, and you're going to get the customer, the prospect to really feel that your whole organization is there to help that client feel good, to achieve their dreams, and essentially they'll be handing you that big check. So today's question of the day on YouTube, it's going to be an easy one, okay? And remember, I say comments for YouTube, but many of those podcast companies out there that host Shark Bite Biz, they all have comment sections as well, too. Not all of them, but a lot of them do, where you can leave comments on episodes. So put it out wherever you are. All that engagement's good. It helps us build the show and helps more people find it. So today's question is, What is the largest sale you've ever made? Are we talking thousands? Millions? What about tens of millions? Let the dollars flow down in the discussion below. And again, I just want to keep doing this. 2 final quick shout outs. Okay. 1, my article's on Forbes. Check it in the description. You're going to have a link to my first full-fledged article on Forbes. I really want to get it over 1,000 views. We're at a couple hundred right now. I think we're probably around halfway there. So let's try to get it up there to 1,000 views. And number 2, do you want to be a guest on this show? You have a good story to tell? You want to talk sales philosophy, marketing philosophy, business law philosophy? You want to tell us about how your business has changed during the pandemic? And when I say change, here's a good quick story. You may have seen I've had some rockier shirts on sometimes, which, by the way, today I'm wearing a Shark Bite Biz shirt. Make sure you check out our Teespring store and grab one. But I've had some more rocker type shirts. There was this company that was on. They were pretty much selling to rock stars that would go perform concerts, stuff like that, stage clothing. And it's really, really cool clothing. But there's no concerts going on right now. Okay, and it's like if there's no concerts, they're not buying the clothes. So they've actually had to change their whole business model to actually do business to consumer sales instead of business to rock star sales. And that's pretty cool. I want to get people on this show that have stories like that. If you have one, shoot me an email, david@sharkbitebiz.com. I will put almost anybody on this show, give you all a platform, because there is something that everybody out there can learn from everybody, and I'm going to find a way to squeeze it out of you. So I look forward to those emails. I look forward to seeing your comments. Don't forget to buy the shirts, or you can get the coffee mugs, stuff like that. Beautiful Shark Bite Biz coffee mugs, all at our Teespring store. And once again, remember, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you guys next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.